Welcome back to Formula One Midwest eSports Division 1, the grand finale or the season finale, round 15 in Bahrain.
Yes, this is phenomenal. If you have not been excited up until this point, there's something wrong with you. But tonight is the night. Get hype, get whatever drink, get whatever snacks you want, and get your comfiest shoes on, because I don't think we're going to be sitting for too long. This is going to be an action-packed race. We have a full lobby here in Division 1 tonight, and we are already getting ready to ready up for qualifying one and only here in Bahrain. So stand by for that. The whole pre-show reel may be a little shortened if the drivers hit the track earlier than expected, but I just cannot emphasize it enough. There is so much at stake for so many drivers here tonight. We have 3 subs. This is just going to be, this is everything. This is the grand finale that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, and we can talk about the driver standings in just a bit. They are just loading into qualifying, so we could already go over the standings. We'll at least go through what we have as of week 7, so halfway through the season. We had Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Haas on top. Aston Martin, who is led by Scorenzy, who has been dominating races, was in 4th place at the time, followed by Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, McLaren. And I got to switch back here. So we jumped to week 9, where we had Red Bull Racing moving up into 3rd. Week 10, Red Bull Racing still in 3rd, Haas 4th. And then we had Haas jumping up into 2nd, swapping with AlphaTauri. Going into week 12, though, had Red Bull Racing moving back up into 2nd, Haas dropping down into 4th. So a lot of movement, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Alpine's been very consistent up at the top, but the lead has been closing for them. We also had a little bit of movement down at the bottom with Williams and Mercedes swapping places. But after last week, this is where it all stands. We have Alpine in 1st, Red Bull Racing in 2nd, and Haas in 3rd.
Yeah, only 108 points separating those top 3 teams. And as we all saw last week, the substitute driver for Haas, Clay the Monkey, who will be making another appearance here in the final race of the season, was putting big points on the board for Haas. So they are definitely still in contention for something here today. They will definitely be walking away with some hardware pending some crazy turn of events. Speaking of which, we are going to try something new here on the stream today for the finale, for the final race. Mitch has a live tracking Excel sheet set up, so hopefully we will be able to see the movement in the Constructors Championship as the race is ongoing. But bear with us. Again, we are running right off the we just built it, so we'll see if this works.
I saw some jokes in the drivers chat earlier where just the # and then REF, which means your formula got completely screwed up in Excel. So I think the formulas are all correct, but every 5 laps or so we can kind of check in, see where the drivers are and how that affects both the drivers championship and the constructors, because the constructors is pretty close in certain parts of the field, so we'll see some big moves there. And then, of course, the Drivers' Championship, Scorenzy, if he finishes the race, he'll take home the Drivers' Championship. But that's, again, if he finishes the race, and there's still plenty of movement further down.
Yeah, that was a big question earlier on today, whether or not Scorenzy was even going to make qualifying today. As we are underway, 16 minutes on the clock of Q1 and only, we see one of the substitute drivers, Josh Sr., on his outlap. We do have 3 substitutions today before we get back to the Scorenzy, the drama that we had in Aston Martin's garage earlier today. Those substitutions will be Helgs in the McLaren. Now racing for McLaren will be Bacon, one of the stewards of MidWest eSports. Cake Thomas will be out for Mercedes. In will be, as we just saw, Josh Sr. And for Haas, like we said earlier on, Posh Josh will not be on the grid today. In his place will be last week's winner, Clay the Monkey. Now back to Aston Martin, we had a bit of drama earlier on today, where Scorenzy messaged in the podium chat that in the paddock chat, that he may not be able to make the race due to some complications, but it looks like he was able to pull everything together. He pulled the strings, he made it work so that he could uphold what could very well be his driver's championship, so long as he crosses that checkered flag, that finish line after today's race. Anything can happen here in Bahrain. This is a super wide open track. A couple of very tight technical hairpins, but other than that, we have multiple DRS zones. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for overtaking. And as we've seen in the past few races, Scorenzy does not have an easy shot at first place, as he has been, GSR Edwin and others have been nipping at his heels here in the final stages of the race. He typically will finish high up in the grid, and then, we'll hold on to pole position for the first half of the race. But then after we get some tire changes, some pit changes in there, GSR Edwin and the likes of some others have been nipping at his heels. As we saw last week, Clay the Monkey taking first place over Scorenzy, GSR Edwin, and Aero Racing currently sitting with our fastest lap. That's a 1:29 up there for the Alpine.
Yeah, we have a lot of people still on their outlaps, a couple in the pits setting their first times. But as always with qualifying, you'll see some of the fastest at the very end with less fuel and some of the fresh tires. They'll take a pit stop with about maybe 4 minutes left on this track. That can get you your outlap and your final qualification lap.
Yeah, and Mitch, this is a track that you and I know very, very well. It is one of the first ones that you do end up racing in Formula One in the video game as a default. But this is known as the first track of the season. So all of the drivers, whether you're racing in the game or you're a fan of F1 in real life, you should be very familiar with the Bahrain circuit. Again, it is a medium difficulty, but it's not leaning too heavy to one side. What am I trying to say? These are the Q1 and only jitters that we always go through here. It's not a high downforce. It's not a low downforce track. It's very medium. A lot of straights and some technical corners.
This was, I think, the first one I ever raced because we started with Formula 122, or that's what you got me started on. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, it is a good starter track because you have a little bit of everything. You have 3 DRS zones, you have a long straightaway, you have a very light chicane, you have a tighter chicane, you have 2 hairpins, and then you have that kind of sweeping corner going from sector 2 to sector 3. And that one kind of depends on how you set up the car. You can take it at full throttle if your car's set up right. Otherwise, you have to lift just a little bit.
Yeah, this is a wonderful track to see what all of the drivers are made of. It offers a bit of everything, minus the narrowness of a street circuit. We do have the benefit of this being a fairly wide open track. But folks like Scorenzy and others that do prefer and do perform very well on street circuits will have no issues here racing for pace. You see GSR Edwin now setting that pace at a 1:28.949.
So we are on board with Scorenzy, who is on his first flying lap to see what he can do. And he has definitely come in the last minute several times and taken that pole position away. Pole position will be worth 1 point, but every point matters at this point in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is, or could be, the Drivers' Championship, now setting fastest with 11 minutes to go. Very out of character for Scorenzy to be setting fastest lap pace this early on in qualifying. Typically, he does like to sit back a wee bit, whether that's intentional or not. He has historically sat back on the pace until the final few minutes of qualifying. On board now with last week's winner, Clay the Monkey, replacement driver for Posh Josh in the Haas. Haas again in points contention for the Constructors' Championship. If both of these drivers are able to keep a clean race today and finish decently in the points, they may be looking at some hardware here at the end of the race. Hello to everyone in the comments. We are racing in Bahrain today. This is race 15 out of 15 for the 2023 Midwest eSports Formula One Division 1 Series. We are watching the drivers in their one and only qualifying session. We have just about 10 minutes to go in qualifying before racing gets underway. On board now with Houdini, who has had a really rough go of things here in the back half of the season. Houdini and Helgs, both in the McLarens, both having some issues with DNFs, spinouts, whether those be mechanical or incidents, collision incidents. just have not had a good go of things in the last couple races.
They're hoping just to get, a nice consistent finish to the season. They don't have any really room to move up. They are a couple hundred points behind Alfa Romeo, so that's out of reach. They are in 8th place right now, but Williams is just 25 points behind them. So McLaren does have to finish. Both drivers are at least kind of 1 and 3, 2 and 4 above Williams to keep their place.
Now, I do know that, some of these drivers may not be racing for hardware here today, and I do know that MidWest has very strict and very thoughtful rules in place to prevent egregious driving, just guys going out there and throwing the race, trying to meddle with others. However, you still could pick a very pesky, pestering strategy. So do you think we're going to see something like that from the McLarens, who may not be racing for a podium spot, may not be racing for the glory of it today, but instead of just calling it a day and doing their best, do you think anyone out here is going to try and meddle and prevent other teams from moving up? Is there any strategy? Is there any reason to do that other than just a little bit of cheeky fun in the back of the pack?
I think the only place you see that is if your teammate is struggling, or maybe if you really do want to see some lead changes, but mainly if you both qualify ahead of someone close to you, a close rival, then second driver back may try to, be a little bit more defensive and hold them back, let the lead on the team get a little bit more of a head start just to try and climb up there and keep the points out of reach.
Before we get underway with racing action today, I do want to shout out the roster and the folks that make these races shine as bright as they do. Thank you very much to the stewards and commissioners of MidWest eSports, Pork Chops, Knuckles, and Hammer 3. Why do I always mess this up? Hammer 383RS is our head D1 steward here in MidWest Racing for this season. Thank you very much to those three fine individuals who uphold the rules and make sure these races are above board. They are analyzing all of the findings and reports after racing has concluded. This is just the start of their race weekend.
And we just had Nicky, aka Joseph Newgarden, shooting up into 8th place. Look how close he is. VTech right behind him, like 2/100ths of a second. That little gap between Lancey and Gunner, all 129.7s, is super close.
Yeah, this mid-pack is going to be very exciting. We saw a lot of pack racing last week in the penultimate race, where not a lot of cars were getting distance between one another. They were all pretty close, and with 3 DRS activation zones here in Bahrain, we can only hope that we are going to see that close of racing action here again tonight. This is a track, of course, in real life we saw Verstappen pull an almost 20-second lead over the pack. So it's definitely possible to get a significant lead, but anything can happen.
And look at Gott Palmer jumping up into first place, pole position right now, the 128.855. So again, 2/100ths of a second over Scorenzy, but he was rapidly improving on his lap at the end. But Scorenzy is back out there, and I think he's on a flying lap, I think he's going for time right now.
Gott Palmer has had a wonderful season. He is not in contention for driver's podium here today. He's entering this race with 970 points, sitting him comfortably in 6th place. But Gott Palmer has definitely pulled out some moves. He has the pace to compete with the big dogs, and he is himself. It's just the way that the fate rolled this season. But Gott Palmer currently sitting up top. If he is sitting above Scorenzy at the end of qualifying, we could see some very defensive driving from him. He can definitely keep pace and cause havoc for the top of that pack. Not surprising, we see Scorenzy, GSR, Edwin, Aero Racing, and Race Day all grouped together at the top of this one, with, as the caution flags are removed from the top, maybe not, GSR Edwin setting fastest, 5 minutes to go in Q1 and only.
And Scorenzy is improving on his previous lap time. Gott Palmer is a very interesting one because Williams is only like 20 points behind McLaren. So Gott Palmer up at the very top, that's going to be hard for McLaren to hold on. Scorenzy holds on to his position at this point. He jumps, I think, just over, got Palmer. Scorenzy now in third, got Palmer in fourth. GSR Edwin in second, and Race Day and the Haas taking pole position.
Yes. Aero Racing currently in fifth would be the other driver to watch in terms of driver championship points. Again, if Scorenzy is unable to complete today's race, the second place driver would be Aero Racing. And I believe, Mitch, he needs to finish above 10th place. He needs to finish in at least 10th to tie Scorenzy's points in the driver's race. But he needs to finish above 10th to lift that first place trophy over Scorenzy today.
And I think I missed it, but that is only if Scorenzy does not complete the race.
Correct.
Yes. So if Scorenzy does not complete 90% of the race, I think is the rules in the league, then he would get 0 points. Aero Racing would have to finish above 10th to still take that driver's championship. They would be tied if he finished 10th, but in that case, Scorenzy has the most wins on the season, and that's the tiebreaker.
Correct. Yeah, again, I mean, just going through the intricacies of Midwest esports. These rules were written back in 2019 or 2020, and to say that they are comprehensive is an understatement. For an esports racing league, they have done a wonderful job. Pork Chops and the rest of the lot have just been spot on with upholding the standards of racing here in MWR.
Anytime we have a question like, well, what if this happens tonight? And then we look at the rules, we're like, yep, there it is. Easy enough, very distinct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes it easy on the stewards too, when they have to review footage and reports and incidents, because it's all laid out in the rules. They can just cite them and say, that's how we do it. Here's the result.
Yeah. VTech in the Alfa Romeo is out for qualifying. That does not mean he's out for the race. He will just not be able to set another time here today. So he will be sitting back of the pack in 19th for the start.
Looks like Nikki is the first driver out on a lap to actually get paced and see if they can get the fastest time here. So
wait a minute. Is that IndyCar driver Joseph Newgarden in Midwest Racing?
Don't feed into it.
He loves to change it. He's changed his name in the past 3 or 4 races. I don't know if it's for us. I don't know if it's for him, but we have made a tradition of it now that we message the paddock chat and just say, all right, who is Nikki tonight?
Sure and it was even worse in Suzuka when the update to Formula 123 messed up the real-life car balance online, so they were using personal cars, so we had none of the team logos or liveries, except for, I think, some of the Williams guys and Ferrari had similar ones, so we had no idea who Nikki was. He had a different car, different name, different logo, different everything.
Yeah, loves to keep us on our toes here. But
it gets you talked about on the stream. I mean, that's one way of doing it, right? No press is bad press.
Race Day sitting on top right now, followed by GSR Edwin and Scorenzy. Got Palmer back into 4th and Aero Racing in 5th. It is tightening up as all 4 of those top drivers are on their outlap. Aero Racing now on the track trying to set pace. Currently sitting at a 1:29. Yeah, look at these times. This is going to be such a tight race. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, Race Day jumped up front. He's 0.2 of a second above second. But 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are all very close, and then 5th and 6th. I expect to see a couple jumps here, and some of them might get 2 laps in. It depends when they left the pit. But they'll all at least get 1. And everyone that's on an outlap right now, I mean, you have the top 4, and then 6, 8. They're all going to get just 1 shot to improve.
Yeah, 1 shot. 1 opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in Midwest esports.
Is that a song or a movie?
Yep. It's actually both. Can you name it?
8 Mile?
Hey, there we go. Let's get some W's down in the chat for Mitch finally picking up a movie reference that I dropped on a live stream.
I only knew it because I knew it was a rap song. I knew it was probably Eminem, and he's from Detroit. And yeah, a lot of logical conclusions or jumps, leaps.
I love it. Thank you very much to everyone who has joined us for Q1 and only. We are wrapping up here In Bahrain, qualifying has hit zeros, so the drivers on the track will be able to complete their final laps, but that's going to do it. We will have final results here momentarily. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. Thank you to everyone in the live stream chat joining us for qualifying ahead of today's race. Let us know if you have a driver that you are rooting for. I think Ellie is going for race day today. Sorry, that's a typo.
And Bone Crusher's going for Scorenzy or just racing in general?
It's weird that they both switched drivers there at the very end, and right at the finale to boot.
Can't anger people right now. We do have, Nikki is now out, retired from the session. There's a caution flag, so I don't know what happened there. But Edwin in second, Scorenzy in third, Aero Racing Design in fourth. They are all out on their laps. It looks like Scorenzy may have stopped, though. He was out on his lap, and then I don't know what happened there. He let everyone else pass. GSR Edwin looking to take pole position, and he does at the buzzer by 0.3 of a second. Scorenzy is not going to be able to. He's 10 seconds behind his best lap. We still have Aero Racing Design, but he is 3 seconds down. Play the Monkey, 18 seconds. I think that might do it.
Do not count out any of the top 4 drivers really in the start of this race. The hairpin at the end of the start-finish straight in turn 1 is absolutely diabolical. So anything can happen there. Once the dust settles around turn 3 and 4, we may see a completely different grid order than what we see right here with GSR Edwin setting an impressive 1:28.259 right at the buzzer in that silver arrow.
And that's going to get him 1 point in the Drivers and the Constructors Championship.
Moving on up.
Let's add that in. I doubt that's going to make a change. No change, but hey, every point's a point, right?
In the paddock chat, we have race day coming in right at the last minute following GSR Edwin's pole grabbing final lap. Well, damn, coming from race day. Yeah, that is a statement lap from GSR Edwin, who again has been nipping at the heels of race day and Scorenzy for the last few races here. GSR Edwin could be another one that could top the podium here today.
Yeah, and he is only 22 points behind race day for 4th place. Mercedes is currently in last, but that could change after tonight depending on how both of the drivers finish.
Well, let's take a look at our starting order. GSR Edwin, followed by Race Day and Scorenzy, as we head right into the grand finale, race 15 of 15 for MidWest eSports Racing, live from Bahrain. Racing action up next on Nick and Mitch. Well, it all comes down to this. A track typically reserved for the start of a season will host the thrilling conclusion of MidWest eSports' 10th go-round. With a flair for the dramatic, tonight's finale will be a bare-knuckle brawl as far as the points are concerned. This 15-turn desert track was once home to a camel farm, but today it's a rather balanced circuit with multiple high-speed straights and slow, technical corners, leaving plenty of room for gripping battles and edge-of-your-seat overtakes. In the Drivers' Championship, Scorenzy has been dominant since his mid-season entry. And as he enters tonight's contest atop the points, it's fairly simple. Finish tonight's race, and he hoists a trophy. On the other hand, over in Constructor land, the trophy is very much up for grabs. Just 108 points separate the top 3 teams. As tonight progresses, much to my chagrin, fast math will be the key to following along with the action. Alpine has been dominant for most of the season, but we've seen some incredible drives as of late from Red Bull and Haas, who are both looking for that last-minute upset. Folks, this is it. flat out, no holds barred racing. This one's for all the marbles. The formation lap is up next. From Bahrain, this is Midwest eSports Formula One Division 1 on Nick and Mitch.
I think Peter said it best in the chat. These intros are incredible, and that's a dedication to all of the work you put in writing that masterpiece today. I think that should be in the historic novel section in Barnes & Noble, maybe in 50 or 100 years.
Hey, I'm just trying to do these drivers, this league, and this season justice, and I don't even think I came close. These are some of the best esports sim drivers that I have seen on my live streams on my channel. But that is still saying something. I mean, these folks are running no assists on these cars. They are flat out every single week, and this week is no different. The only difference is the adrenaline. There's no making it up next week. This is it. Like I just said, it's for all the marbles. There's no going back after today.
And we cannot express how hard it is to drive without assists in this game. We both play with maybe a mid-range of assists depending on how we're feeling, but we have both tried to make the switch and, said, let's turn them all off and see what happens. And it's not great at all.
Honestly. Yeah, saying that we're running mid assists is generous. I think I still have 6 wheels on my car. I do have 2 training wheels on the back of my F1 car. Yeah, it's a feat as a driver to sit here with no assists. We can't emphasize their skill enough. We do have some drivers running on some janked up rigs here tonight. I believe Aero Racing Design found an issue during practice before official qualifying here in Bahrain tonight. His paddles on his wheel are loose and they do need to be tightened, but he will be running with a, quote, janky rubber band setup to try and hold it all together. So his chances at a podium finish at a driver's championship here, if Scorenzy does fall out of this race, Aero Racing will win with rubber bands on his wheel. We're under the formation green here in Bahrain. Scared me for a second.
I know, you scared me too. The red lights just came on and we were like, uh-oh. Yeah, I can't imagine how scary it is, especially in the final race of the season. I know in my 2-hour endurance race last week, midway through, I also wear the VR headset so I can't see. It felt like my pedals were sliding further away on the rig, and I couldn't tell if my leg was just getting tired after the first hour mark and it felt like it was harder to push, or if the pedals were actually getting further and further away and soon they would just kick out and I would lose control of the car.
Oh, it's miserable. But you have to do what you have to do to finish that race, right? I mean, what did you do? You didn't pull over. You just dealt with it, right?
I just hoped that, it would hold on, and it did. It was just my mind playing tricks on me.
Absolutely. No, well done last week. I did tune in for some of that, and it was a heroic drive from the man that I am staring at here on the behind the screen. Here we go. The AWS tire strategies, very quick, but it looks like we can have a 1 or 2 stop race. We have one driver right at that final circuit. Was that a Haas that dipped into the sidetrack there?
That might have been. I didn't quite catch who it was there. They all get to straighten out once they get to the finish line again.
Yeah, if they ran off the track, if they had a collision, something went wrong, they're just reset to their formation spot on the grid. But yeah, it did look like there were 2 drivers who had some issues there. We see GSR Edwin heading the pack with Race Day, warming up those tires, getting ready for this turn 1 action. Again, it is full throttle down the stretch and then very, very quickly onto the brakes as we have a hairpin right to start today's race. GSR Edwin starting, I believe, on the left-hand side of the grid. He will have the outside line through turn 1, inside through turn 2, and then it is a straight shot through 3 and 4. But again, Race Day with those warmed up tires that we just saw, is going to have that inside line. If he's able to get a jump on GSR Edwin on the light, he may very well be able to squeak by him here in turn 1. Leaving him only 150 meters of pole position to start this race.
I was going to say, Anbu Mason looked a little close to that starting line.
Well, here we go. The season finale, Midwest eSports Formula One Division 1 is underway from Bahrain. GSR Edwin leads the pack, followed by Race Day and Scorenzy. We already have a move. Scorenzy moving past Race Day in the first straight. Callie Robb moving up past Lancy, and Bacon moving up past Clay the Monkey into the first section of turns. GSR Edwin able to hold it through. Scorenzy nipping at his heels. Race Day not far behind.
Saw a couple guys on the outside hold that throughout the first turn, which is a tricky one, but you do have a bit of an advantage going into turn 2 and 3. And now it looks like Lancy was dropping down a couple of positions, so he is down into 6. Callie Robb jumping up into 3rd, but Race Day is not going to take that easily. We also see Lancy jumping over Arrow Racing right behind. So we have GSR Edwin and Scorenzy taking off right now. We do have a caution flag up. Looks like the boys in the back, AlphaTauri, McLaren, got a little mixed up, but we are all good. We got a little push almost off track. We have Houdini. Everything's good.
Race Day now falling back into 5th place. Regrettably, at the start of the race, I was paying more attention to the left side of the screen so I could see the drivers' names and their position changes. I did not see what happened to Race Day, but he dropped so much pace here in lap 1, now sitting in 5th place. Wonder if that was a bad break, a bad line, or bad strategy. What happened there?
I didn't quite see it, but looking at the tires, we do have Race Day on hard tires, and then everyone in front of him on mediums except for Scorenzy. He's on hard. That could have a little bit to do with it. Those hard tires do take a bit longer to fire up, especially at the start of the race, and at nighttime it's a little bit colder. Of course, he will last longer. He won't have to pit as early as the rest of them, but that can cause some problems slipping at the beginning of the race.
Now we have even more back and forth now. Lancy and Race Day. Race Day peeking in front of Lancy. Lancy saying, no, I think I'm going to keep you right where you are for now. We'll try again in another lap. DRS has yet to be engaged. These drivers are flat out racing right now. This all has to do with those powerful right foots. Here you see the tire strategies moving from a medium to a hard, a one-stop race. Or again, you're going to start with that hard, hopefully go to a medium, and then maybe be able to finish this race on a set of soft tires if time and intervals permit.
I'm questioning that one from Amazon's data service, because they had you doing a medium and then just a hard, a one stop, or a hard and then 2 more stops to put on 2 sets of mediums, which, doing the math, you think you would just flip-flop those strategies, but who knows?
Amazon.
I'm sure they know more than we do.
Here we see the position changes. Callie Robb moving up 2 spots in the first 2 laps of this race. Scorenzy comfortably sitting in 2nd place, waiting for DRS to activate so he can try one on GSR Edwin. He's going to have to close that gap by about half a second, though, if he wants to activate those speed boosts around these 3 activation zones. GSR Edwin setting yet another fastest lap. Callie Robb stealing it right out from underneath him with a 1-3-2-4-5-8.
He has had quite a start. He has jumped up into 3rd 2 positions and then took the fastest lap. He is also on the medium tires. So next up is going to be Scorenzy, who is on hard tires. Callie Robb is going to have DRS. Scorenzy will not. So I might expect that. I won't say expect. That one could change soon, but we have seen Scorenzy, like in Brazil, defend like the army from 300. Just
honestly
doing ridiculous defense and playing with everyone's mind.
Yeah, Scorenzy is a masterclass on a street circuit, but if you give him room to work, it's much like, we're going to show our hockey affiliation here. It's much like Evgeny Malkin on the Pittsburgh Penguins in the National Hockey League. Used to Olympic size, international ice, which is wider than NHL ice. Once you give him that room to work, much like Scorenzy moving from a street circuit onto an actual circuit like this with a very wide stretch, he's able to work and do things that he otherwise would not be able to do. And one of those things is defend like Russell Crowe. Just an absolute madman.
What a
right?
reference.
That's who that was, right? 300?
I also didn't watch that movie.
Oh, come on. Someone correct me. Is it Russell Crowe in 300? I don't know. Anyway, I do know that GSR Edwin's still sitting up top. We're on board now with Callie Robb in that Ferrari, who has had a wonderful season. Callie Robb, a definite contender here at the top of the grid, able to put the pressure on early on in these races.
And it looks like that DRS, Callie Robb went from a 0.7 of a second gap to a 0.4 of a second gap. So it's got to be pretty close to use DRS in that long straight. And I'm surprised. I thought he would be able to just jump out no problem, but didn't gain quite as much speed.
We had some action, something going on with Fireballers. AlphaTauri now down in 19th. He's in the pits. Not sure if that was a collision. We did see a couple of fights there, most notably Sharia Coleslaw getting above Houdini and was trying to fight with Scavney there for a little bit. That 12th through 14th spot was a bit of heat there, and we saw Fireballer ducking out of the action for something. Hopefully his car is okay. They were able to repair the damage, and he will get back to pace, trying to catch up to his teammate Gunner in the back of the pack.
And we also talked about the battle between McLaren and Williams. Look at where they're at right now. We have Williams in 7th and 11th, and McLaren in 9th and 14th. And Williams needs those points. They need about 25 points to jump up, so I don't know if that's enough for them yet. It's got to be close.
Has to be close, but something that is far from close. If you take a look back at the top of this leaderboard, GSR Edwin has a very comfortable 2-second plus lead on Scorenzy. GSR Edwin absolutely tearing away from the pack here, but Scorenzy does not need to look for that podium spot today. He, again, just needs to finish this race clean. He cannot have this car disqualified from today's race. So a second place win from the Aston Martin would be just fine for everyone.
He is starting to disappear into the fog, or maybe the loss of graphic quality in the game in the distance. It's hard to tell which is which, but you can see Edwin just a couple turns ahead. Scorenzy is on the hard tires, so that's nothing to be too worried about for him right now. It sounded like a little bit of a skid going into that right-hand corner.
Oh, Scavney making a move over Cynical to take 11th place, but we can look down to the action between Joseph Newgarden and Bacon in 10th place. They were swapping back and forth. Bacon able to overtake Nicky's Alpine there and is setting pace, trying to get at least a second gap between the Alpine and that McLaren. The replacement driver, Bacon, in for Helgs tonight.
And this battle is also going to be interesting on the finish line straight, because we have Scavney and then Cynical and Sharia right behind him, both with DRS, both within a half second of each other, and Houdini and VTech joining that group now. So we have 4 drivers, all with DRS, all in a chain going into the final straight. So I don't know if there will be any passing in the middle of that pack or at the end, but this might be a good opportunity for Cynical to try and get past Scavney here.
Definitely another battle worth checking out. Up top, Cali Robb overtaking Scorenzy here in the start-finish straight. But yeah, the Cynical Sharia Coleslaw Houdini battle is definitely one to keep an eye on. Sharia now under 3/10 and losing. Oh, no, he's gaining, sorry, on Cynical. Lancey moving up, Cali Robb moving back up the top of the grid. Scorenzy back into second. These drivers 2 through 4, are just having a nice little dance here in lap 6 of 29.
Yeah, we missed what happened, but it looked like Scorenzy got past Cali Robb once again, and Cali Robb had to actually almost go off track and drop down and give the position to Lancey as well.
Yeah, there may have been a pinch around the corner or something that allowed a double overtake there. Apologies. We're only a 2-man crew, so we can't be on board with all of the drivers. We may recruit a 3rd producer for next season, but that is yet to be seen. If anyone would like to produce the camera, the spectator camera, let us know.
I don't even know how we can begin to control that. Don't put too many more ideas out there right now.
Throwing the cart before the horse is my middle name.
We will have 20 people running the cameras, just like they do at the actual F1 events, with the director just snapping and calling out different angles.
I don't see any issue with that. As I see the vein in Mitch's head just grow and grow and grow as he dead stares into the camera.
It just gets hot in here with the computer and everything else.
Sure, yeah. Okay. We're on board now with Gott Palmer, who was setting pace in qualifying, trying to make a move on Play the Monkey and break up that dense Haas wall stack 5th and 6th. Play the Monkey, last week's first place winner, taking gold in goodness, where were we? We were in Qatar.
That sounds right.
Yeah, sure. Let's roll with that. We were in Qatar last week, and Clay the Monkey, the replacement driver, filling in for Posh Josh, was able to sit atop the podium for that one. Got Palmer under half a second now behind Clay the Monkey. Will he be able to activate one of these DRS zones upcoming to close that gap? Remains yet to be seen. Drivers have been setting into their positions. As we see, most spots are at least half a second behind one another. Just kind of settling in for the first stint of this race. It's not a terrible thing from the driver's perspective for tire degradation. If they're not fighting wheel to wheel, they're able to kind of get those tires to last a couple more laps. But someone who is definitely pushing here, got Palmer on the straight. Will he be able to overtake Clay the Monkey into the corner? He will not have the speed to do so as he loses pace into the final start-finish straight under DRS once again. 4/10 and closing. That is a commanding Haas stack right there, able to hold their positions and keep the Williams at bay. Meanwhile, later down in the pack, Cynical in the other Williams overtaking the Ferrari of Scavney, and VTech overtaking Houdini. They are now battling back in 14th and 15th. Houdini is going to come out victorious, sitting now in 14th place. VTech half a second behind.
And thank you. That was impressive to get through all of those comments, but I was able to work out some of the early projections. So with the way the standings are right now, Callie Robb is actually going to move up into 9th in the Drivers' Championship. That's moving up 2 positions. And then looks like we have a couple drivers dropping down, maybe 1 or 2 spots. Doesn't have any effect on the Constructors' Championship right now. So for now, with Williams in 7th and 11th, McLaren in 9th and 14th, that's enough for McLaren to keep their position.
Sorry, I'm trying to find a line to talk about, and I completely blanked on that. We are lap 9 now from Bahrain. Race 15 of 15 here in MidWest eSports Racing. That's called filler, folks. We're on board with Lancy in 3rd place, right behind Scorenzy. He does have pace. He may be able to pressure Scorenzy a wee bit, but Callie Robb not far behind. That battle back in 14th, VTech and Houdini still going at one another. Houdini back in 15th, but he's under 1/10 of a second and losing now. That battle is going to continue. It's going to progress through the entire race. I just have a feeling those two drivers have been battling for the last 4 or 5 laps now, making it interesting for the rest of us.
They have, and I was able to look just a little bit deeper with the way they are right now. Williams is only 5 points behind McLaren.
Shoo!
So they only need a couple more positions. It's the whole drivers or constructors cup is just getting even closer.
Watching Cynical back in 11th, I'm sure he's eyeing down Bacon, the replacement driver for Helgs in the McLaren, up in 9th place now. Both of those Williams above both of those McLarens would definitely be a wonderful sight for those blue drivers in arguably, no, not arguably, distinctly the best livery of the season here. With those Williams and the Duracell battery over the intake. They would both definitely love to get above McLaren here in the final race of the season in those championship points for 9th place, you said?
Yes, I believe. Actually, for 8th place between Williams and McLaren. Speaking of, got Palmer in the Williams, jumping over Clay the Monkey up into 6th place. And he is now right on the heels of race day, so he is sandwiched between the 2 Haas cars.
It took him a wee bit of time there, but persistence pays off. Got Palmer just slowly clawing his way up the grid there. He was able to catch both of those Haas who were very, very close in pace to one another, forming a very effective defensive barrier for the last 3 laps. But Got Palmer cracking through 1/2 of that defensive pairing. We also saw Sharia moving up in that Red Bull past Scavney for 12th place. It is getting cooler here on the East Coast, and the air is not being kind to my voice. Sorry, I'm gonna have to mute every now and then just to hack up a lung. I did not start a humidifier today.
Got to do those vocal warm-ups before you're talking for maybe almost 2 hours, 1.5 hours at least. Always affects you no matter what.
I told you earlier, I said, this is one of the only races that I haven't done my vocal warm-ups, like actual honest-to-God vocal warm-ups. And yeah, I'm definitely going to pay for it, especially if we get some high-intensity action here in the back half of today's race. We're on lap 10 of 29, and it's still anyone's guess as to what is going to happen in the mid-pack. But we could say, well, for now at least, GSR Edwin holding a commanding lead of first. And just as we say that, Gott Palmer able to get by race day, pushing past both of the Haas drivers and securing his 5th place position in lap 11.
That was a good look at Lancey trying to consider an overtake on Scorenzy, moving to the inside, but Scorenzy just holds the driving line no matter what. If he moves to the inside, then Lancey can move to the outside and, maybe get the better entry into the next corner, but Scorenzy he's on that driving line, or the best possible line, unless he has to get off. And that can really, you try to play mind tricks on the driver in front of you, but he almost does the reverse. It's like a steel curtain there.
Right. I was going to say, but I don't think I see him in chat. Coach 34 should be in here. But one of his favorite coach-isms when he was coaching our inline hockey team back in high school was let them get the penalty. Let them make the mistake. Just steadfast, stay there, do your thing. Scorenzy is going to hold that line, and he's going to let Lancey try and dance around him. And if anyone is going to falter and, cause a collision, cause some sort of spin out, some sort of incident, it's going to be Lancey in 3rd place, not Scorenzy in 2nd. He is a very clean, very meticulous driver up there. He knows exactly what he needs to do to maintain that position.
Also looking at Bone Crusher's comment saying that I take a supporting role to your vocal warm-ups where you say me, and I say you. It's pretty accurate, I would say.
Did you give him access to our chat room here?
Our uncut video recordings where you talk and then I talk for a little bit and then we make fun of each other for half the time.
There he is. I knew Coach was in here. Thank you very much. We still have another Scavney dipping into the pits now, bowing out of the race between him, Vitek, and Houdini. Vitek now sitting in 13th, Houdini in 14th. So both of those drivers moving up due to Scavney's pit. I wonder if that was
a tire pit, it looks like. We're just over a third of the way through the race, so expect some of these medium tire guys like Scavney will swap out for hards, which he did. We'll see if anyone's a hero today. Lancey and Sharia Coleslaw in the Red Bulls last week going way too long on whatever tires they were on, and then just switching to the soft tires at the very end. And it worked out for them.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal test to their endurance. Just able to hold those cars on that line as long as they did. We were both jaw dropped to see how far some of those drivers got on mediums on a track like Qatar, especially, which we saw it in real life as well, that just chews through tires like a paper shredder. There was really no explanation as to how they made that happen. GSR Edwin now with a 4-second lead above the rest of the pack. And just as we say that, Lancey overtaking Scorenzy for 2nd place. Now Scorenzy sitting with just under, well, he might try to make another pass here. He is, and he will. Scorenzy reclaiming 2nd place over the Red Bull.
He was on the back of a driver like the ones that are on the back of you, like on the turnpike or the highway.
Honestly.
The one that's just unreasonably close to the rear of your car when there's a ton of room around. Scorenzy just hangs out in that slipstream zone and then pops back out, even though he's on the hard tires.
Yeah, again, cool, calm, and collected. I dare say Scorenzy is a smooth operator. He is not in one of the Ferraris, though. We're on board. Wonderful, wonderful production value right there. Callie Robb in 4th place as we head into the back straight. He's just under half a second behind Lancey, not able to make a move right now, but That's not saying that he will be out of the contention for a podium spot come the checkered flag in just over half of the race length.
And look at this once again. You have Scorenzy, Lancey, Callie, Got Palmer, Race Day, Clay the Monkey, all within a second of each other, all going to have DRS. Are any of them on the medium tires going to pit, or are they going to stay out and see if they can do one more swap in this DRS zone? It's tricky when, well, there you go. Oh, we have GSR Edwin dropping into the pits. That's why we saw some arrows. But Lancey also overtaking Scorenzy. Scorenzy, however, staying on the outside line, the best line, and Lancey fighting him right back.
Will he be able to get it now under DRS? Lancey trying to make a pass on the inside. Will he be able to get past Scorenzy once again? No, Scorenzy slamming the door shut on the Red Bull. We have a spin. A Williams is sideways on the track. That is a caution in Sector 1. Looks like he might have taken out something on the Haas. That is not going to bode well for the Williams, who are trying to move up in the Constructors' Championship past McLaren, as looks like Got Palmer clipped Play the Monkey or Race Day. We're going to see if that is worthy of a DNF from Got Palmer, or if he's able to just fix that front wing. Something went terribly wrong. There was definitely debris in Sector 1.
From what I saw, it was at the very tail end of that clip. I think they were getting 3 wide or at least into a pyramid formation, and just as they were trying to make that turn, the wing got ripped off. I don't think there's too much damage. I think just got clipped enough, and with the wing coming off, they didn't have enough balance on the car to keep it from spinning. I hope that Got Palmer's all right. Hope if he was on the medium tires, it's on the hard tires, so that's going to be tricky because he has to pit now.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, if any time, now would be it to pit. We see a couple other drivers. Callie Robb dipping into the pits now as well, followed by Clay the Monkey to assess some potential damage. Got Palmer as well. So those 3 drivers are going to take the dip before the rest of the pack. Aero Racing moving up into 4th because of that pit, that little pit shift there. Scorenzy sitting 1st, Lancey and Race Day following close behind. Race Day is 2nd in the Drivers' Championship right now, hoping
Aero Racing.
Aero Racing sitting in 4th is hoping that Scorenzy falters and has a catastrophic failure here in the back half of today's race, not qualifying. Again, if Scorenzy bows out of this race for some circumstance, if he cannot complete 29 laps here in Bahrain, it will be up to Aero Racing. And as he sits right now in 4th place, that would be enough to take the Drivers' Championships, ripping it from Scorenzy's hands, who has held it since he made his mid-season debut in Division 1.
Yeah, he has just been on a tear in all of these wins, and I think at this point you don't really hope for that either. As a driver, you want to win it on merit, right? So you don't want to see... we saw that in the driver chat earlier today too, with Scorenzy and a couple other leaders unsure if they could race. And most of them are like, I don't want to win because of that. They want to actually fight for it.
Right.
And they all, especially up in Division 1, they all love to talk to each other and cheer each other on with all of this. We do have Lancey making a move on Scorenzy.
Ooh, he's going to get him.
See how that affects it though, because Scorenzy's going to hold the line. Lancey's going to get past. GSR Edwin coming out, I think, on new tires.
Oh, yeah, baby. GSR Edwin moving up. Scorenzy's going to take it right back from him. That was a wonderful exchange there. Turns 1 through 3 between these two. There we see Scorenzy just reclaiming his spot atop the grid here. Lancey definitely pressuring him and putting the pressure on Scorenzy through those DRS zones into those hairpin corners. Here we see some...
Ooh,
God, sorry.
I was going to say Race Day was spinning just a little bit. That's the hard thing about this circuit, where you have 2 DRS zones back to back. You have the finish line DRS, and then a right, a slight left, and then another DRS. So if you overtake into first, there is another detection zone. So if you take first by the end of that straight, you're no longer going to have DRS. Mm-hmm. And Scorenzy, being a pretty strong racer, is going to take that right back from you in the next straight.
Yeah,
you don't really have enough time to take advantage of the DRS and kind of build yourself a comfy gap.
Right. Ellie commenting down in the chat saying Scorenzy is sick AF and he is still racing today. And he's sitting in first place to boot. So Scorenzy going through something right now, but he is cold sweating his way through this race. And as we say that, he heads into the pits with Lancey. Race day is going to take first place. That Haas now sitting up atop the grid as we await GSR Edwin, who's patiently making his way through. Here we go. GSR Edwin 10 seconds behind race day, but race day, I believe, has yet to pit.
I believe he's the only one.
Yes.
Cynical is in the pit, so he is the only one to pit. He could be doing this. He's on the hard tires. He has been sitting behind Scorenzy and Cali Rob, I believe, who were fighting, and Lancey. So he can, instead of pitting behind them and most likely coming out behind them, he can try to use this lap to set a true pace and then pit and try and jump out before Scorenzy and Lancey. We'll see if that's possible for him, though.
It's definitely going to be tight. We saw a lot of pit dancing there while we were discussing the strategy of race day. The lone survivor on the hard tires, now 17 laps in. We see a bunch of groupings here heading into Sector 2, finishing out Sector 1. Everyone seemed to, the pack is tight once again, compressing as it does, but GSR Edwin hunting down race day, just playing it cool, keeping a good line, maybe trying to set a fast lap if he can beat his own time. But GSR Edwin will eventually sit atop this podium once again, our pole position leader here in today's race.
And isn't this interesting? We have Scorenzy's going to be out on mediums. The two in front of him are going to be on hard tires, so Scorenzy's going to gain a little bit per lap, but Lancey went on soft tires, so he's really trying to put the pressure on Scorenzy and challenge him throughout the finals.
Again, these ballsy moves from the Red Bulls. We saw it last week in Qatar. We're seeing it this week in Bahrain, switching to the tire that everyone will look at and go, there's no way. Guess what? I bet you any money Lancey is going to finish this race on those softs somehow. Where he will finish remains yet to be seen, but it's definitely ahead of Scorenzy right now. See if Scorenzy is able to get some heat in those tires for that overtake. But later, further down in the pack, we return to the Williams-McLaren fight. We now have a Williams wall in 12th and 13th as Scott Palmer was able to get by Houdini just like that, setting him back into 14th on his new tires. And Boo Mason, Fireballer, and Gunner also battling in the bottom of the pack for position down south.
And we also do have Bacon in the McLaren up in 8th place and just holding a half second behind Aero Racing Design. It also looks like Lancey is gaining rapidly on Cali Rob for 2nd place, and they will soon be heading into the final straight with DRS. You can see Scorenzy sweeping in like a shark there, and that I love that corner.
Yeah, that one is, this entire track is mean. Like you said, it was the first one that the two of us ran together. And yeah, this one has a special place in my heart. It is a mean track. Under DRS now, Lancey closing in. Will he be able to execute? He will, passing Cali Rob's Ferrari as he enters lap 19 of contest.
Those soft tires, he got the fastest lap, but here's where it'll be tricky because we're going into another DRS zone, and the more that Lancey and Cali Rob battle each other, the bigger an opportunity Scorenzy has to jump both of them at a certain part on the track.
10 laps to go here. Scavney and Shreya Coleslaw battling for 10th place in the middle of the pack. 10 laps to go. GSR Edwin still sitting on top of this grid, followed by Lancey and Cali Rob. Scorenzy, our driver's champion as it stands right now, sitting in 4th place, just 2/10 behind 3rd for his podium spot. Scorenzy, I'm sure, wants to be standing atop that podium after today's race, regardless if he lifts the drivers or not. He's going to want to see his character lifting something and spraying something at the end of this race.
Maybe they talked about the same thing with Max in real life. He wins the Drivers' Championship during a sprint race.
Right.
Which you still celebrate, but
Sure.
as a driver, you want to be or even if he wins it, like Max wants to be on the podium in the final race of the season. final broadcast for 3 months. He wants to be on the podium, #1, spraying champagne, holding the trophy.
Of course.
You don't want to have another driver up there and then a cutaway to you getting out of your car being like, there's the driver's championship.
Right. Yeah, he is not interested in my suggested strategy for the Red Bull teams, which is put Yuki in the Red Bull and put Max in one of the AlphaTauris and see if he can win it that way. Just as we're talking about Red Bulls, Callie Robb able to get by Lancey once again to claim second place. Both of those drivers sitting 9 seconds, almost 10 behind GSR Edwin as they are battling for second place now. It is back and forth. Lancey back on top as Houdini drops down behind VTech for 15th.
I don't want to get too off topic, but could they put Max in AlphaTauri now that he has the Drivers' Championship to try and get AlphaTauri more points and get them more money for next year?
That's what I'm saying. Send it.
It's not going to happen, but
they own both teams. Why not? No, I'm here for it. I would love to see Max in a white jumper for the last few races of the season.
Chaos.
That's the name of the game here in Baltimore, at least. Go O's. Sorry that they had to bow out. But Callie Robb trying to make more valiant of a return than the Baltimore Orioles did to the playoffs. Sitting 3/10 behind Lancey. He is not out of this yet. Scorenzy not out of this yet. This race is far from over. Only 9 laps to go, 8 laps to go, but it's far from over. We could still see some major shifts on this grid.
We also saw a battle in Brazil where no Scorenzy was in first. I want to say it was Edwin that was in second, just behind him for like the final 15 laps. And then using DRS going into the final lap is when Edwin finally did an overtake. And, he was just staying behind Scorenzy, keeping the car smooth, not burning up too much tire. And then, just waited for the opportunity at the very end of the race. Why battle for 10 laps when you can just battle for 1?
Right, exactly. And yes, Scorenzy just sitting back there, the smooth operator himself. Just cool, calm, collected, watching these two rip through their tire allotment here. 8 laps to go. These two are swapping every DRS activation that we have seen tonight. That we have seen in the last few laps. We have seen Callie Robb and Lancey trading spots. Lancey still standing victorious as VTech had some sort of spin out back there. Is that what I just saw?
It's like a bit of an issue. There were 2 cars around when the first caution flag went up. I think everything's okay, so he may have just spun a little bit.
Before the end of today's race, we do want to thank everyone at MidWest Racing for allowing us to slot in as the broadcasters for Division 1, 2, and 4 this season. It has been a wonderful adventure to learn how to call these races, and it has been a wonderful adventure to learn all of the intricacies of this league, these drivers, and these divisions. It's been a ton of fun, and we will definitely be back for season 11 of MidWest eSports Racing Formula One action, which will return sometime in November. I believe there is a 2-week hiatus between the seasons as we get everything ready, but there will still be racing action to watch in those 2 weeks. We just watched Cynical go by Scavney for 11th place. He is going to try and make up the time to get DRS, try his luck with Coleslaw in 10th. Now sitting 1 second and just under 1.5 seconds behind the Red Bull. VTech has retired from this session. Whatever that spin was too much for the Alfa Romeo to recover from. They will be disqualified. They will not finish today's contest. Very unfortunate for the Alfa Romeos. That will potentially have serious implications in the championship standings as Mitch crunches the numbers right now. Moving back up through the wall, we see the Williams are sandwiched between the McLarens of Houdini in 14th and Bacon in 8th. So Williams trying to get above Bacon, looking unlikely with only 7 laps to go here. And we have yet another Haas wall in 5th and 6th. Closing the door for Aero Racing Design should Scorenzy have a tragic fall in the last 6 laps Aero Racing Design is going to have to really make up some time, some points. What am I talking about? He needs to finish above 10th to win if Scorenzy does not win. Yeah, he's fine. He's going to sit there and stare at the Haas's all day long.
Yeah, I think based on what we're seeing right now, tentatively, Cali Rob's moved up into 8th in the Drivers' Championship. He's moved up 3 positions. VTEC's going to drop 2 from 7th to 9th now. Houdini's going to move up 1. But the biggest news right now...
Sorry, Mitch, we have some motion. Scorenzy battling between Cali Rob and Race Day. Race Day able to overtake Scorenzy. As Scorenzy was moving by Cali Rob and Race Day together, there was a lot of action. We also saw on screen Cynical finally able to overtake Sharia Coleslaw, break through that Red Bull, but Coleslaw closing the door once again. A lot of movement here in the last 6 laps. I'm sorry.
No, it's important to this because as of those moves, Red Bull is tentatively above Alpine for the Constructors' Cup by 8 points.
Oh!
With Red Bull in 2nd and 10th, Alpine currently in 7th and 9th. The gap was 35 points. So Red Bull's moved up 41 points on Alpine in this race, and they are now in the lead for the Constructors' Cup.
Wow. Well, those Red Bulls are going to try and hold fast here as we come into the final 5 laps of action here in the 2023 season. Live from Bahrain, Scorenzy Scorenzy moving up past Race Day there to claim his podium spot. Can he hold on for these last 5.5 laps? 4.5 laps. Sorry, I can't do math. That's why you're over there. Got Palmer making money moves on the Red Bull of Sharia Coleslaw, who drops down behind both of the Williams, now fighting between the blue sandwich for 11th place. That still may hold for the Constructors, but Sharia Coleslaw getting bounced around between the Williams garage.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. Lancey is putting in the work for Red Bull in 2nd place, earning massive points. Sharia Coleslaw, though, that's going to be the difference because he's going to be the one that can pick up that extra 1, 2. GSR Edwin's got 1st place on lock. He is 10 seconds ahead. Scorenzy could take Lancey and take a couple points from Red Bull as well. So does kind of not fall on Sharia, but he's gotten important final laps.
Hearing from Paddock Chat, the DNF driver VTEC saying, "Great job, Palmer and Fireball. That was epic. Great way to ruin my race." So unsure what happened there with the Alfa Romeo, but there was definitely something, whether it was clever and proper defensive driving, or we'll see a steward's report at the end of this race for some foul play. Something went on between Gott Palmer, Fireballer, and VTEC that caused the Alfa Romeo to dip out of contention to finish this race. Scorenzy and Race Day going head-to-head here for 2nd place as Lancey in the Red Bull drops down into 4th. Scorenzy, like you said, trying to pull some points away from the Red Bull, but Lancey able to remain victorious, sitting in 3rd place. It is now GSR Edwin, followed by Race Day and Lancey. Lancey now moving up into 2nd place above Race Day. The top of the grid is on fire.
And that shows, again, the checkpoint. Scorenzy was taking the outside line. He got the short straw and was the one to not get DRS, even though he was in 2nd out of 3rd in that pack, which just led to an easy overtake. So he stuck to that line, which is quicker, but because of that and the way the detection point was, he wasn't able to get DRS, even though he was behind someone.
DRS is a fickle mistress.
I just saw it activate there on the Aston Martin, though, and the final straight for these guys with how close their time splits have been has been kind of the deciding factor. We'll see if Scorenzy takes a chance and actually goes for the inside line at one point, or if he just continues to stay on the outside corner.
So as it stands right now, if I can do proper maths, Red Bull still sitting above Alpine with their current 2nd and 11th place standings, while Alpine is sitting in 7th and 9th. Is that good fast maths? Did I do a math?
It's so tricky with them changing positions like this nonstop.
Yeah, Lancey now dropping down. Battle with Scorenzy once again, 3rd and 4th. Let's see what they're going to do here at the start of lap 26. 3 laps to go. We are on board with Scorenzy. He's trying to make up time, but we see Lancey ahead of him, overtaking Race Day once again. Wait a minute, I think I've said this before. This sounds like a repeat of lap 25.
Going wheel to wheel too.
Here we go, they're wheel to wheel through the technical section. They're gonna hit that weird chicane thing into the hard braking zone for the second of 3 hairpins. And Lancey is going to snuff out Race Day as Scorenzy's able to squeak by him too for a quick overtake.
Yeah, they got a little too close, and Race Day had to go. I don't know if he was forced or if he just had to go. Who knows? He had to give up a little bit of time, and Scorenzy was able to get past. But the way they've all been racing, that's not going to matter because they've got 4 more laps to sort this out at the top.
Yeah, this has been a phenomenal race for second and third, honestly, between these 4 top drivers. Lancey through Callie Robb have just been gunning it out. We will likely see something happen here again as we enter lap 27. Let's see if DRS is going to be kind with Scorenzy. Will he try and make a move on Lancey here, or is he just going to hold fast? He has quite a bit of space to let that Aston Martin breathe, and here he goes, overtaking Lancey into turn 1. Lancey trying to close the door on Race Day. Scorenzy deep into the hairpin of turn 1. Race Day trying to make a move on Lancey, unsuccessful. Scorenzy's going to make it out scot-free as the action lies behind him, with Lancey and Race Day remaining constant. Race Day tried a cheeky overtake there, got him for just a moment, but Lancey was able to hold fast on his line and hold on to third place. 2 laps to go, 3 laps to go if you're including the one that we're on right now from Bahrain and in this season.
It's getting tough. And right now, Alpine's back on top.
Whoa.
With Lancey dropping down, Sharia dropping down, and Alpine moving up slightly. It's now a bigger gap, but who knows in the final couple laps. Lancey moving up in the second would be huge again.
So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for Lancey and the Red Bull moving up into second place for those constructor points.
Yeah, Scavity's now 3 seconds behind 10th, and they've got Palmer, so that's not undoable, but that's very unlikely at this point in the race. Scavney, though, in the Ferrari is actually closing in. Cynical. We do have a caution flag up. Looks like
it is the Red Bull, the replacement driver, Josh Sr., filling in today for Cake Thomas. Spinning out might have just been, a little bit of oversteer there. It happens to the best of us. Hopefully there is not enough damage there to deem the car as terminal. We head back into that first straight into turn 2 and 3 here with the pack leaders, but it will again hold fast. Race Day might be able to make a move. Will he be able to get by Lancey? He will. Race Day moves up into third place, dropping Lancey into 4th. That is a crucial blow for the constructors' points for Red Bull, as Sharia Coleslaw also drops down into 12th behind Scavney in the Ferrari.
And I think Joseph Nicky moved up into 8th. I think it was 7th and 9th. I think he just jumped over McLaren. So Alpine's also moved back up in points. They are fighting to defend or hold on to this Constructors' Cup.
Alpine has been just a force to be reckoned with. Josh Sr. in that in the Mercedes, unable to complete today's race. The damage from that spin out was too much. We will be down to just 1 Mercedes on the grid. That Mercedes, though, 11 seconds above every other driver out here. From pole position till now, GSR Edwin has held a commanding lead in Bahrain.
And I do believe with it being lap 28, when Josh Sr. and the Mercedes goes out, they will still get the points for 18th instead of getting 0 points. So it's 48 points, I believe. It's about 45, so it's still good for Mercedes. They at least collect something.
Well, let us, after we see the DRS here, let's be aware of GSR Edwin. He is so far ahead the rest of the pack that I almost have to stare at the bottom right of the screen to keep pace with him. We do want to capture his win here in Bahrain in just a few seconds time, but we do want to keep an eye on the battles here in 4th, in 3rd. Lancey dropping down a second behind Race Day in third place now. Sharia Coleslaw moving up into 11th. That's going to be helpful, but it's not going to make big moves for Red Bull. But as I was saying earlier, Alpine just had a phenomenal back half of this season. They have been in contention since the very start of this season. They have been so consistent. I believe between the two of them, they have one race win all season. But it's not about the win. It's about consistency in the points. And Alpine has just been the force to reckon with. Speaking of another force, the Mercedes of GSR Edwin heading down into the final straight. Here we go. The final podium spot, the first place winner, the last trophy in the 2023 season, will go to the Silver Arrows. GSR Edwin finishing today's session in pole from qualifying and pole at the end of the race. Parc Ferme will also see Scorenzy in second place, followed by Race Day and Lancey in fourth, just missing out on that podium spot. And with Scorenzy sitting in second place, that will confirm his driver's championship for the 2023 season. Scorenzy hopping into Aston Martin Division 1 seat just halfway through this season, able to command this entire grid. Will we see a return from the Aston Martin driver next year, or will his bluff from earlier today in the paddock chat of retirement hold true? All of that remains to be seen in 2 weeks' time when we return to racing action in Midwest eSports as the final groups, Fireballer and Boo Mason making a move right at the very end over top of Gunner. Fireballer and Boo Mason and Gunner going to round this out as they are the last three to cross the line. That's going to do it. Well, 1 second. And that's going to do it for the 2023 season. Midwest Esports Racing, Formula One Division 1, tonight on Nick and Mitch. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for the start of the new season. This has been so much fun to cover. We're going to check the final standings here as they stand in the game. But again, all of these are pending review from the stewards from Midwest Esports. These standings may change later on in the weekend, and we will potentially cover that at the start of season 1, but all is null and void at this point. The drivers that you see are the drivers that won. The points have spoken for themselves. We will have an Alpine Championship, Constructors Championship, and an Aston Martin Drivers Championship by way of Scorenzy.
Yes, and I'm going to have about 30 seconds here to try and crunch the final numbers, so just give me 1 moment to see how these standings play out.
You take all of them. Also, your camera is off, just in case we hop back to the other screen in a second. All of the drivers sending their love in the chats. GG, take it easy on us, GSR Edwin. Got Palmer saying, damn son, relax. Play Monkey GG's. Play the Monkey has had a phenomenal last 2 races in the Haas. I hope if there is a spot on the grid next season in Division 1, I hope we see Clay the Monkey taking a full-time position. That is such a fun driver to watch out on track. Lancey apologizing to Callie Robb, saying, my apologies, I'm sorry, that was all me. Not sure what he is referring to there, but may have been a bit of a little, shady move there from the Red Bull. Got Palmer, great season, everybody. Aero Racing, great season. Everyone's happy. This is wonderful. We're all going to go have a drink and celebrate. We did not have any major collisions in today's race, so that's a huge win across the board. I don't care who you're rooting for. You love to see it.
Yes, and I believe Drivers or Constructors Championship stays as is. Alpine will be in first, Red Bull in second, Haas in third. For the Drivers Championship, there are some tentative moves. Looks like Callie Robb can move up into 9th. He jumped up 2 positions. Nikki will move from 13th to 12th, and Houdini will move from 8th to 7th. Everyone else will stay the same. So we have Scorenzy in first, Aero Racing in second, and Lancey in third.
What a phenomenal race. There wasn't a ton of, drastic moves. We did see some very fun wheel-to-wheel action there, but I feel that was clean as it could get. And that's exactly what you want to see at the end of the season. The last thing you want to see is one driver tank it for the rest of the crew, causing a caution flag at the very end and having someone overtake who otherwise, didn't deserve the win. I feel like that was a confident and valiant effort by all of the drivers out there.
Yeah, and I got to do it. I got to switch back to the Aston Martin colors for Scorenzy. I don't have Alpine up right now, but Alpine's not my favorite.
I gotta love it. I loved our behind-the-scenes camera watching you scramble to get your hat back on, just to celebrate the win. If I had one, I would be wearing it. I will rep the McLarens. Again, thank you very much for joining us for the back half of the season of Midwest eSports Racing, Formula One, Division 1, 2, and 4. Next season, we will be on the full schedule. Pending the November 16th race, which we will both be out. So that should, right now as it stands, be the only one that we will be unable to cover. But we will definitely be hopping between the divisions. Please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Stay up to date on all of the Formula One live streams coming to you same place, same time as they usually do, Thursday evenings on the East Coast here, 9:30 p.m. But also staying up to date with all of the other content that we offer on the channel, including our weekly episodes following Ubisoft's title Riders Republic, an extreme sports video game that has a lot of similarities. If you like F1, you may really like skateboards, snowboards, skis, BMX, wingsuit, all of that action. It's fast, it's intense. It kind of scratches the same itch as an F1 race. If you haven't seen it yet, go learn yourself on Nick and Mitch.
I also caught in the driver's chat while you were talking that Josh Sr., who dropped out on lap 27, was because his dog decided to tell him on lap 27 he was sick by throwing up in his lap.
No!
So while he was driving, his dog ended his race for him.
That's a pretty good reason why he spun out on the track.
I'd say so. I think you'd freak out just a little bit.
No
I've seen you react
chance.
when your cat jumps on your lap. I think you've disconnected your headset and dropped from a race before doing the same thing with me.
Yeah, and that's not even cat sick. That's just a cat being there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's understandable. I'm so sorry that's how the race had to end. But Josh, it was a clean race regardless. If that's how it ends, then I'm okay with it. No points removed from the driver there.
It was going to be bad and say he had a clean lap, but not a clean lap.
That's where we should end it. That's where we should end it. Thank you for joining us for another installment of Midwest Esports Racing, Formula One, Division 1 on Nick and Mitch. Thank you very much to all of our executive producers here at Nick and Mitch who make things like all of the logos and graphics and transitions and the intro reel and everything that you see. They make it possible with some very small monthly contributions. So thank you very much to Memorized, Bone Crusher 2D, Coach 34, and Mama Bell, along with our co-producers, Captain Snowbeard and Kill a Vapor, and our Fans and Fans Plus.
Yes, and if you want to help us out too, you can become a member. You hit join down below, and you'll get some cool perks like early access to some of our videos, emojis next to your name. There's a lot of gold 24s, badges. I think something pops up too, maybe like this.
Nick and Mitch
fancy.
I think the member reads out with whatever message you add. But if not, just subscribe too, because that helps us out as well, and we'd love to see it.
Yes, thank you very much again for joining us. Congratulations to the winning teams. Congratulations to GSR Edwin for taking first in Bahrain. Congratulations to our Drivers' Championship 2023 Season 10 goes to Scorenzy, none other, the illustrious Scorenzy. And the team of, Aero Racing Design, correct? Oh, I'm messing this up.
You're going to test me now. Wow.
I feel awful.
Congratulations
to Alpine for their Constructors Championships. I'm so sorry that I forget your names off the top of my head.
Aero Racing and Nikki.
Thank you very much to Aero Racing and Nikki. Congratulations to all of the drivers who reigned victorious in Season 10 of Racing Action. Again, we will take a 2-week hiatus, and we will be back with Racing Action if the season is as it was last time. Do you have the Season 11 schedule yet? Do we know where we were going to pick up in 2 weeks' time?
Oh boy, I do. It's going to pick up in Brazil. Back to Brazil, November 2nd.
Let's go. We will see you back here, same place, same time on the 2nd of November. Until then, stay steezy. I'm Nick.
And I'm Mitch.
And we'll see you in Brazil. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.
Jump.